Chapter 9, Callie. News of the three slaves, James Townsend, Frank Baker, and Shep Mallory, taken into the fort and not returned to Colonel Mallory, spread quickly. Daily, many more fugitives arrived at the Union Army fort seeking protection from their slave masters. They were not just young men, but women and the elderly, and families. Some could hardly walk. They may not have understood what the contraband policy at Fort Monroe truly meant, but it satisfied them to know that at least they weren't slaves anymore. May 27th, 1861. Every day and several times a day, Callie found excuses to go back to the cabin from the big house. She was checking to see if Papa had returned yet. And Mama Ruth answered her the same way each time she asked. He should have been home by now, she said, trying to sound as if it didn't matter that she did not know what had happened to him or if he would return. She would only say she prayed that he had not gone to fight in the war, and silently worried that something far worse had happened to him. Callie hoped beyond hope that Papa was safe, but then Papa didn't return the next day either, and neither Mama Ruth nor Callie knew where to put the thoughts that floated around in their minds. That night, Callie found her stars twinkling in the sky. She hoped Papa was seeing those same stars, as he did not feel that he was lost and alone. She made another wish for a safe return. Please look down on him. Look after him, she said. Please bring Papa back home. And that next day, something wonderful happened. Two riders came tearing up the road on horseback towards the quarters. That changed everything. Callie worked in the small garden tending to the plants. At first, she could not make sense of what she was seeing. Callie thought she knew she should be scared, but she did not feel especially afraid. She called for Mama Ruth, but she was busy doctoring on little Charlie. He had caught another cold and was not feeling well. Callie squinted to see if she could make out who the two men were. One was dressed as a Union soldier. Without Papa or Joseph with them, Callie wondered how she should greet them, but she did not feel fear. A Union soldier was riding alongside someone she thought she might know. The other man reminded her of Papa, the way he looked when he would ride a horse. He sat up tall and proud. Then the fellow she thought she might know took off his hat, and started waving it and hollering at the top of his lungs and calling out her name. Callie thought that the man was waving his hat and yelling, looked like Papa. She called to Mama Ruth again. Please come out here, and quick. Callie girl, it's me. It's me, your Papa. Fetch Ruth, fetch your Mama. I told you I'd be back. It was her Papa. He had come home. Something inside her made her open her mouth wide, and she screamed to Mama Ruth. She jumped up and down. Callie could not stop jumping up and down as the joy spilled out from her eyes. Mama Ruth finally came running. She was carrying little Charlie in her arms. She had been nursing him day and night, but nothing had made him feel better for long. Charlie lay so still in her arms, but when Mama Ruth whispered to him, "It's your Papa," and he heard Papa's voice, he reached out his hand to touch Papa. He smiled at Papa up on the horse. Callie could not stop her tears, and she did not want to. They were the happy kind of tears. With all that had happened, she had forgotten how happiness felt. Then Papa jumped down off his horse. He grabbed a hold of his family and wrapped them up in his arms, hugging them tight. Callie did not care that she could hardly breathe. But poor little Charlie, she thought. He would have been jumping for joy at seeing Papa again if he were feeling better. They all cried and hugged one another over and over again. After they got finished with the hugging, Papa said he had come to claim his family. He said he had the right to come and claim them. Mama Ruth just kept shaking her head and laughing. "Where'd you get that soldier hat?" she asked. Papa was wearing a blue Union soldier hat. He tipped his hat and put it on Mama Ruth's head. Everybody laughed. "From this fellow right here," Papa said, and slapped the young white man on his back, which almost knocked him off his feet. "Forgive my manners," Papa said with a big grin to the Union soldier. "This friendly fellow is Lieutenant Matthew Jessup." The soldier turned a bright shade of red and smiled at Mama Ruth. "This is my wife, Ruth, my daughter, Callie, and my boy, little Charlie," Papa said, taking little Charlie in his arms. Papa carried little Charlie to the cabin step, sat down, and rocked him. "How do you do, ma'am?" the soldier said, extending his hand to shake Mama Ruth's hand. "I'm doing just fine, sir," Mama Ruth said, before turning her back to her concern for little Charlie. "I can't get the fever to stay down, or the cough to go away," she told Papa as she wiped little Charlie's sweat on her sleeve. "I have done all that I can do for him. There is just not a doctor around here anymore. They all joined the fight. We just have to wait and pray. Ah, Chorley boy, it's your papa. Charlie looked up and put his little arm around Papa's neck. He'll get much better when the army doctor looks at him, he said, smiling at little Charlie. You wait and see. Army doctor, Hampton, Mama Ruth said, her eyes wide as the moon. Papa laughed a big, deep belly laugh with a twinkle in his eye, like he did when he thought something was so funny. Slavery is over for you. For us, he said, as he wrapped his son in his arms again. Mama Ruth steadily shook her head. Callie sat down next to Papa and folded her knees under her dress. She just wanted to be close to him and make up for some of the time she'd missed. Something new has happened in the world, Ruth. Excuse me, Papa said. Now we can all be free, and we can get little Charlie looked at by a doctor, too, at the army fort. What are you talking about? Is the war over? Mama Ruth asked. It might as well be. She hesitated. I don't want to be anywhere near to the war. But why would they tend to our boy, Hampton? Papa said there was a way to be free on account of he was taken into the Union fortress as contraband of war. What does that mean? Mama asked, bewildered. Whatever it means, you are no longer a slave, Papa said, hugging her with a big grin. Mama looked from Papa to Lieutenant Jessup. Well, ma'am, the lieutenant began, what your husband is telling you is all the way right. It's a lot to take in, but that is where things stand right now. The laws of the land do not include Virginia. Now Callie looked from Papa to Mama Ruth and to the soldier. She did not know all of what was going on, except she liked it, whatever it was. The soldier thought of her father as a friend, and enough of a friend to help them. He kept calling Mama Ruth ma'am, like she was somebody particular and special, the way a white lady was spoken to around here. Callie sat there rocking back and forth with her hands on her knees. Yes, ma'am, the lieutenant said. I come from a northern state called Vermont. It's just like I told Hampton before the war. I had never seen or talked with a Negro and never even considered them to be a friend. Callie almost wished Susie was around to see and hear this young man speak about her father as a true friend. The lieutenant's face turned red again, and he looked down at his boots. I joined the army as I saw it was my duty to my country. Then, when Hampton here jumped in the river, risking his life to save me from drowning of my own stupidity, it all changed my heart. I don't know what my family would say, but I consider your husband to be a loyal friend. I will always be in his debt. Because of him, I get to have my birthday in a few weeks, he added, cheeks turning red again. So, I've come here to help your husband bring all of you back to the fort with us where it's safe for you, and you'll be looked after. Mama Ruth looked to Papa. He knew she would not take one step off the plantation unless she had a full understanding of the things at hand. She had a lot of questions she wanted answered. Callie wanted to know too. Papa took one of his hands, holding little Charlie, and rested it on Mama Ruth's shoulder. Come inside the cabin, Ruth, Callie. Let me tell you everything that has happened and how it is that we are leaving here today. But then you have to promise me we will move quickly. They all went into the cabin. Hampton had so much to tell them about meeting Raleigh at the crossroad and everything that he saw and did at the fort and how they could be considered free. Sitting at her papa's knee, Callie could not believe his words could be true.